Well, the chat is back. Yes, the chat is back. I was getting feisty with the titles. I don't know if I clicked the wrong button or if YouTube or the powers that be said try me. But we are back. We are back with the chat and everything. Ndewo, everybody. Let me pull this closer so I can see you guys better. All right. Ndewo. That's crazy. Yeah. That still looks crazy. Still trying to figure out the okay. This is Ask Me Anything with Derek Ofaderwa, host of the Medicine Show. I'm here to discuss Odinani Ndibo, which is Igbo spirituality, culture, cosmology, ancestral thoughts. So, any questions you guys have, I'm here. Ndewo Creative Force, Ndewo Ikenga Nation, Ndewo. I can't see the name there. Is that IY? Says chat is back. IY. I don't know. No, this is somebody that's been here before. Ndewo. Is it still all day? All day, baby, all day. Is it still ancestors over Bible plus Quran easily? I just had to quit playing with the title. Because the last one I couldn't open the chat. No mini player, no chat, no notification. Yeah. They're playing games. Oh, YouTube had you listed as a child's video in the last stream. Well, maybe it's a mistake I made, right? Maybe it's the mistake. I was being childish, but maybe it was a mistake that I made, But, I have my suspicions about YouTube, man. I have my suspicions about YouTube, but it's all good. YouTube has been good to me. There were arbitrary. All right, y'all. Once we get to 10 people in here, we'll go ahead and actually no. Once we get to 15, we'll go ahead and begin. I need people to have time to think of their questions. This is Ask Me Anything. Once the questions run out, I run out. My name is Derek Ofaderwa. For those who are new, I'm the host of the Medicine Shell. I teach Igbo spirituality and ancestral thought here. So this is what we're here to discuss. But this is Ask Me Almost Anything. So there's a pretty wide range of things I'm willing to answer. Best way to support the movement is to join the Patreon, patreon.com/the medicine show. Let me put a link up. Hit the like button. We got 10 people already and only 4 likes, which means 6 people are in here just monitoring. In Nigeria, we call them a village people. Village people are people that are watching for your downfall. Medicine Shell. Patreon.com/the medicine shell. Get on the Patreon, y'all. Join the Patreon. I have not been as active on YouTube. I've just been in a different kind of headspace. But I'm trying to get out of that headspace so I can be more active. So okay, pen. Yep. Best way to support is patreon.com/the medicine. Monitoring spirits. Ikenga Nation knows. Ndewo. Where are we at? Why ancestors over Bible and Quran? Easily. That's why. No, I just wanted to be chaotic. That's all. I wanted to see if we can get some healthy debate going. But I must have hit the wrong button or something the last time. So we'll just keep this one normal. Now, if I am in a very, what's the term? I am in a very, very chaotic state of mind right now, man. I'm with the smoke right now. So if anybody wants to go those places, we can. Is this just... It's just that easy, LOL. I was just getting back into reading Bible and Quran too. No. Go ahead and read the Bible and the Quran. I highly encourage it. A lot of wisdom in both books. Once we get to 15 people, we'll go ahead and begin. So if you have the link, the easiest thing you can do to get people in here is hit that like button. So if you have not hit the like button, go ahead and hit that like button. Right? IY, I'm going to just call you IY. Have you hit the like button? Who else? Ikenga Nation, have you hit the like? I know Ikenga Nation has hit the like, man. What am I talking about? Creative Force, have you hit that like button? Wait, what's going on? What did I do to you, bro? What did I do to you, bro? Hit that like button. Once we get to 15, we'll go ahead and begin. All right. Yep, I liked. Okay, I'll do my. IY, did you have a different name? Did you come here with a different name before in the past? Like, did you recently change your name? Let me ask this question. Are you a part of the village? Are you on Patreon? I don't know if I recognize you, but it says that you're the number one supporter here. So I feel like maybe you use a different name or something. I changed my name today. I'm not on Patreon. Okay, all right, no problem. So you're IY and you're the number one supporter up in here. So shout out to you. That is incredible. I'm happy to have you here. If we get two more people in here, right? We can get two more people in here. And funny enough, two more people need to hit that like button. Those of you who have not hit that like button, I'm not your enemy. All right. I do not come with any malice towards you. So what is your problem? What's going on, huh? You hit the button, hit the like button. Okay, cool. So as the way this works is once we hit 15 people, I answer the questions until you guys go. Once you guys run out of topics and questions, I head out as well. We had a group study on Patreon. And for those who don't know, it's like a Zoom meeting where the patrons, we all get together and we just discuss different topics. And during that meeting, I'm trying to remember what topic. There was a topic. There was a really good topic that somebody had recommended. I have to watch the replay. We wanted to talk about. I can't remember. It was a really good topic, but we decided that the lives were too chaotic, so we'll probably do it as a group study. Can read the Bible and the Quran, but the answers are still the truth. Yes, absolutely. 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 I recently lost my mom. I will be right to consider her my ancestors, or does she have any power to affect my progress and protection? Yes, she is an ancestor now. We've hit 15 people. We said, all right, let us go ahead and begin. I don't know if my RG tray is here. Let me just a second to look. There it is. Okay. Let us go ahead and begin. Venus, if you don't mind, I would like to greet your mother. I would like to honor your mother with this RG dedication. And so the way that works is I'm going to, when you're breaking RG, which is what I'm about to do, you call the names of the ancestors that you are venerating or the ancestors that you know. And if you don't mind, I would like to give your mom a shout out. I don't know if you can throw me a nickname in the chat. If you're comfortable using her name, that's fine. Or if you're not comfortable, you can just say pass and we'll pass. Nobody wants their mom's name said on a YouTube live. So if you don't mind, I'm going to do her name is Rose Ugo. Okay, I'll do my. Okay, cool. Oh yeah. Let us begin. Okikekeroa. Chukwu abịama dị n'igwe dị n'ala dị na mmadụ dị na mmụọ. Ala bụ ala nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ. Ala nne na-enye ndụ na-enye nke ọma dị n'ụwa. Ụmụ gị abịala. Ọkwa obiọma ka anyị jikwere na-ekele ụmụ ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ, ndị nta na ndị imo, ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ, ndị ọkpụ na ndị ichie. Ejikwere m obiọma na-ekele gị. Eji m obiọma na-ekele ndị mmiri, na-ekele ụmụ ajana, na-ekele ụmụ anyanwụ ụtụtụ, na-ekele ụmụ ikuku na-eku ụwa. Ejikwere m obiọma na-ekele ha arụbi na-abụ, na-enye akọ, na-enye uche n'ụwa. Ụmụ gị abịala. Ọkwa obiọma ka m jikwere na-ekele nne nne, Rose Ugo ọkwa obiọma ka anyị jikwere na-ekele gị. Anyị ga-eme na mmadụ otu ị na-eme na mmụọ. Anyị bụ otu obi, otu aka, otu uche, otu ije n'ụwa. Otu ị na-aga bụ otu anyị ga-aga, otu anyị na-aga bụ otu ị ga-aga. Nke ọbụla anyị chọrọ ka anyị mee n'ụwa, tinye n'aka anyị ka anyị mee ya n'aha gị. Ọwụ ụmụ gị na-ekwu, ọwụkwa ịfụnanya ka anyị ji na-ekele gị, ọwụkwa nchekwube ka anyị ji na-ekele gị, ọwụkwa obi ọcha ka anyị jikwere na-ekele gị. Otu a ka ọ ga-adị n'Eke, n'Orie, n'Afọ, na Nkwọ. Ise. All right, let us go ahead and begin. So I'm trying to read the name. It is Venetian. So Venetian, just to catch you up, I don't know if you speak Igbo at all. From your mom's last name, I'm sure you can hear what I was saying. But I acknowledged all of the forces. I acknowledged the ancestors through the names Eke, Uri, Afo, and Nkwo. I acknowledged Rose Ugo. I told her that we will do in the world as she wishes we do, wants us to do. That whatever she needs done in the world, let her put it in our hands, and we will have it done for her. That we are one with her through love. We are one with her through endurance. We are one with her through perseverance. That her children are greeting her. Our journey is her journey. Her journey is our journey. And just stuff like that, just paying my respects. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing what you shared. I speak Igbo. Okay, good. All right. Okay, cool. I don't need to talk too much. So let me go back to, okay. So the first question, Venus says, I lost my mom. Will I be right to consider her an ancestor? Yes. Does she have power to affect my progress? Yes. And protection? Yes, absolutely. So the way we see it is that death is not the end of family. Okay. Death is not the end of family. So the same way she was there for your progress and your protection and your peace and your growth throughout your life, she's still there for that, right? She's still there for that. She is able to reach in ways that she was not able to reach while living. So there are slight changes to the relationship we have with her. But what you can do, I would advise you do, is not only acknowledge her and give her the acknowledgement she deserves by greeting her in the morning, but also doing her will in the world, right? Doing her will in the world, making sure that her children are taken care of, making sure that the things that she was passionate about, that she came into the world to do, are done, and continued, making sure that the whatever spirit that she came into the world with, right? I don't know her personally, but if she was a patient person, then you on her behalf should practice patience. If she was an intelligent person, then you on her behalf should practice that, and so forth. Because you are keeping her flame alive by keeping those gifts that she brought into the world alive. Okay. But you're her child. I have children. I know that if something happens to me, what I would want for them is to be happy. So continue being happy. Do what you need to do to be happy. Do what you need to do to grow and thrive and embrace yourself. So I'll do my. All right. So let's see what's going on. The Bible, okay, where are we at? I speak Igbo. Bible says the only way. Say. Just started the documentary. Hey, man. All right, so hold on, guys. There we go. Just started the Diddle documentary. I got a soundboard now, so we're about to be high tech. Hold on. Just started the Diddle. What is it at? Just started the Diddle documentary. 50 Petty Cent released on Netflix today. Are you gonna have to talk about Diddy tonight? I don't. What am I gonna say about P Diddy? I haven't seen the documentary. I'll watch it after this. I don't know what. What you guys want me to say about P Diddy? You know. Oh man, I feel like when he gets out, he has to shoot 50 Cent. There's no other way. Like he has to shoot 50. This is ridiculous. I was looking at it, man, come on, man. Really kicking a guy when he's down. Yeah, he has to shoot 50. So him and Ja Rule need to team up and go half on a bullet, and really just put that guy out because it's too much. Yeah. Oh, man. Jesus. I don't know why I think he's blurring. You ain't gotta read it so loud. Read what so loud? What is that? Indigo? Oh, Indigo no. Is he? Oh. Why wouldn't I read it out loud? You ask me. It's ask me anything. You ask me a question. I have to read it out loud. Huh? Yeah. I'll do my. The way he was smiling on the news about his handiwork. Now, I haven't kept up on any of this. I just kept seeing clips. I saw a clip where like somebody was talking to Diddy and he's like licking his lip. Somebody was talking to, but I call him Puff Daddy, man. That's my age. Right? Somebody was talking to Puff Daddy. He was Puff Daddy when he was licking his lips too. He wasn't Diddy. And somebody was talking to Puff Daddy. He started licking his lips. That's all I saw. But I haven't kept up on it. I know that there's some chaos going on, and we'll see. Where are we at? Just isn't true. Hey, diddly diddle, the cat in the fiddle. There's no words on the moon. 50 Cent seemed like a kid in a candy shop. He was talking about the documentary. Yeah, yeah. P. Diddy and Ja Rule need to go half on a bullet on that man. Enough is enough, Enough is enough. But yeah, is this the what other questions do we have other than P. Diddy and his document? All I saw was a clip of him licking his lips. That's all I saw. So I am not an informed party on that. You guys have my cheeks hurt from laughing. You guys have my cheeks hurt from laughing. Y'all did this to me. So hold on. Okay. Looks like I've answered the P. Diddy question. I think I'm out. Sorry, I was derailing, but didn't realize there weren't more questions. I missed the beginning. No, we just started. It's all good though. If there's no questions anyway, if you guys have topics, that's cool too. I think I need to think of a different format because people run out of questions, and I still want to yap. If you guys have ideas for formats, let me know. I feel like I've answered every question there is to answer. Right? I've answered every question there is to answer. So if you guys have ideas for formats, let me know. I can't think of nothing. Will people who abandon their ancestors have a shot at being reborn through their descendants? Yeah, they still can. They still can if they are given a proper funeral. Then yeah, they will. Whether or not they themselves were good about keeping up with their ancestors or not, right? If the family decides they don't want that person back, that's the only way that can happen. I'm trying to get this right there. The family decides they don't want that person back, that's the only way the opposite can happen, right? So, but if even whether or not you yourself are good at venerating your ancestors, that doesn't matter. It's your family's choice, right? What did you eat for lunch? All right. Wait, let's go back. What's the best thing to do to food after it's been on the altar? This is a really good question. Okay, so food after it's been on the altar, you can dispose of it. I usually dispose after a day. The only major instruction I would give you is when you're cleaning, sweep away from the altar. Don't like sweep it towards. Sweep away from the altar and like it's radiating out from the altar. Okay, sweep away from and then scoop it up and put it outside. Give it to nature. Let nature consume it. Okay, that is the best way to clean up after. If you want to take it to the next level, there are people who just don't clean their altar, and whatever accumulates there, they allow it to accumulate proudly. Now, this is also in consideration with the fact that traditionally, a lot of people's altars were like trees and plants, right? A lot of people's altars were trees and plants, and a lot of altars were outside. So it would just go back to feeding the soil and feeding the tree and so forth. But sweep it out and throw it out into nature, dispose of it into nature. That's why you make sure you eat. You're giving things that are biodegradable and not pollutants, which I'm sure nobody's trying to give their ancestors styrofoam, right? All right, where are we at? Okay, now we're getting questions. Here we go. Where are we at? But okay, the people who abandon their ancestors, yes, they can if the family buries them, right? So they can if the family chooses to bury, which every family gets buried in the West. So yeah. Can you talk more about the dwarves establishing Afa culture? Yeah, absolutely. Ifa Ifagba. Yeah, 100%. So what our people say, and it's not just Igbo people too. You'll find throughout the Kwa languages, the Kwa cultures, and the cultures they're now calling the Bantu cultures. You'll find that we all say the same thing. You'll even find it in different places in Eurasia, where before at the very beginning when things were being established as far as understanding the world, understanding nature, understanding our connection to the spirit, the relationship between spirit and physical, understanding the beginnings of technology, the beginnings of music, and these different things, that the people who first cracked the code, right? The people who really established a lot of what we now call Odinala and all these different spiritual systems were a group of people who were dwarves, right? In Igbo, they're known as Umu Ushi, UMU space USHI, Umu Ushi, and they were dwarves, right? A lot of people will describe them as dwarves with dreadlocked hair, dwarves with dreadlocked hair. And these people spoke the maybe call it parent language of Igbo, which is the language you use to speak in Afa. Now, if you understand the Afa language, for those who don't know, we have a traditional medicine class. And so in the traditional medicine class, we have a boot camp where we teach the Afa language, like how to read Afa, the process, and Afa is that divination, the binary divination, right? And that kind of thing. And so you'll learn like the different words in the language and how to decode it and things like that. And Afa works just like the Igbo language. It's very similar to Igbo. What's interesting though is that this Afa is pretty much the same no matter what culture you go to. So let's say the culture speaks Twi. The words in Afa are generally the same, right? So you'll have some people that say Ubi, others will say Ubi, so others will say not OD. Yeah, just OB and OD or the only or OB, the only variations, right? But it won't be much variation. These are people who speak different languages. So what it's telling you is that Afa itself is speaking a language that is at the roots of all these other languages, right? It's primordial to all these languages, and it doesn't really change too much when it's being carried over. So one of the technologies that this group of people left us with is Afa divination. It is binary divination. It is the binary system that's used to create computers and programming and all that stuff. They're the ones that cracked the code on that first and gave it to the world. And so we learned it from them. I also suspect ironsmithing, right, came from them. And I have reason to believe that. I think that is one of the reasons why, if you look at like, there's this story, this very famous story from Kemet, where they go into what is now Burundi or the Congo, and they like I think kidnap a dwarf or something, and they bring them back. It was like a common thing they used to do. I think that had something to do with Afa, ironsmithing, all these different things that I'm bringing up. And so those were Umuoshi. Umuoshi. We have a group study on Patreon, and I probably have the most intel. I'm not just saying this because it's where you guys are here. I have probably the most brilliant community in content creation history, right? If I guess I'm a content creator, right? And some of the things that people uncover are things that like me who looks at this day in day out, I wasn't able to see it. But I had somebody say that a lot of figures in like Igbo culture are dwarves, like Ikenga, or they're dwarves. I was like, Ikenga are not dwarves. He's like, yeah, no, they're dwarves. And look at the proportions. I was like, oh, I think it's an artistic decision. Yeah, but the same people are making limb proportional art as well, right? You look at a lot of the depiction, like say like the awful, something like the awful. It's a dwarf, right? That's a dwarf, right? Just because of the proportions. The Ikenga is a dwarf proportions, right? And you know that because when something isn't a dwarf, it's got long limbs. It's proportional, right? Like a lot of ancestor depictions. So there's Umuoshi. Those were the original people that began what we now call Odinala, the African spiritual system, right? And it originally comes from them. In a lot of initiations, like when you become like a healer or a dibia in some traditions, they'll say that you'll enter a certain forest and you don't leave until you see dwarves with dreadlocks. So it's the spirit of these people, right? Or you enter a certain grove or cave or something, whatever it is, the initiation isolation period. Sometimes they'll tell you you don't emerge until you see dwarves with dreadlocks, right? And it's such a specific description, right, that after a while you start tying things together. You're like, okay, that's who they're talking about. I saw an initiation in the Ivory Coast that said the same thing, that you don't come out of the house. Theirs was a house until you see dwarves with dreadlocks. Maybe I'm doing this in the wrong order, but either you stay in the house in isolation, you see them and you run into the forest, or you run into the forest and then see them after a certain point. Something about going from a house to a forest and then seeing them, right? So yeah, and I wouldn't doubt that a lot of the Abara are also dwarves with dreadlocks, right? Whenever we try to depict deities these days, we always want them to be muscular and good looking and big ass breasts and stuff like that. But you know, if you go back to a lot of the earlier depictions, they were dwarves. Even Thor, like in Nordic mythology, Thor is a dwarf, right? Thor is supposed to be a dwarf, but now he's fucking, hulked out, that kind of thing. Let me find. Yeah, Olufemi, thank you for asking that. I haven't been here. Can you speak on the Igbo number divination? Yeah, 100%. So Igbo number divination. I think, are you referring to Afa? Is this Afa that you're referring to? Okay, I'll explain how Afa works. Right. We have a boot camp on this, so in like a traditional medicine class. So if you're like interested in becoming a dibia and learning how to do this as a practice and so forth, just message me on Patreon, send me an email, and we can get you signed up. Okay. So Afa. So the way Afa works is Afa speaks Afa speaks a certain language, right? The original language, even before the Omo Oshi dwarf language that Afa speaks, the original language Afa speaks is light and dark. Those are the words he uses to speak: light and dark, something and nothing. Light and dark, something and nothing, or one and two, right? Now, in Igbo numerology, one is also a placeholder for zero, right? One is also a placeholder for zero. I believe the concept of zero is a more recent invention. So one, when you see a one written for Alpha, it means nothing. When you see a two written for Alpha, it means something. Even in ancestral thought, and all things come in twos, right? So two things make one thing. One thing makes nothing. Well, two things make one thing, right? So in ancestral thoughts, all things come in twos. The two is something. Two represents something. The word two in Igbo is abo. The root word is bo, to be, right? To be, right? Odema. So it speaks with light and dark. It's going to have a string of these shells, like 4 shells per string. And when you flip it, the shells will flip, right? They'll flip in an order that you're not going to be able to control. So if the shell is up like this, if it lands up, that is a 1. If it lands down, that is a 2, right? This is a nothing. This is a something. A nothing, a something. Masculine, feminine. Chi, eke, chi, eke, right? And so when you get a string of 4, it will say something specific, right? Like you may roll and it'll be like, I'm just making this up. I'm not looking at the, so like the traditional medicine students have like a textbook that I wrote that they get, and it has all the codes, like what every single code means. And so let's say you flip it. I'm just making this one up. I'm not being accurate. So, and it's like dark, light, 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 right? That's going to say something specific. Like let's say it says Udi, Udi, right? Which that's not what it actually says. I think that's actually like Ijite, but I'm not sure. And then you flip another one and it's like dark light, right? And that's maybe Ugulu or is it Ugulu or Ululu? Ululu. And so when Ijite and Ululu are combined, it says something super specific, right? And then you have to translate that into Igbo when Ijite and Ululu are combined in that order. If it's Ululu Ijite, that says something different. And then you have to translate that. Once you roll 4, you get 2 statements, right? And those 2 statements are going to give you a, a lot. Like Ululu Ijite might be, it's coming from your maternal side. It might say that in English, right? Ululu, I'm just making this. These are not the actual translations. Ululu Ijite might say rest for 2 days and return to the problem, right? And so you ask Afa the question, and Afa gives you the answer. It works off of light and dark. So the real language is light and dark, and then it translates to the Afa language, which then translates to Igbo, right? So by the time you get to English, you've gone through like 3 filters of translation, okay? And so it goes groups of 2, and then the 2 gets messages of 4, and then there's 4 sets of 4, which gives you a full sentence. Okay, so Odemma. 2. That is, but I don't know if there's another number divination system you were speaking about. That's the one that I believe you were referencing. Did you already discuss ancestors over? No, I just put that up there, and it just caused problems, right? It wasn't really a topic I was going to discuss. I just put that in the title just to cause problems. But they set me straight real quick. I had to restart the live. Do you have any of those streaming services to let people get up there with you? Ikenga, I think I'm going to get one. That'll be fun. I think I'm going to get one. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. Like I like how on TikTok you can come up and talk with the people. I just don't like the TikTok rooms because we're always talking about some BS. But yeah, what'd you eat for lunch? I ate fried yam and egg. Fried yam and egg. You know how one really looks so much like one of their ancestors? Is that reincarnation? Yeah, likely, very likely. Very, very, very likely. You know. So we had this interesting discussion in the traditional medicine class, the Ogun 1 class, right? And we discussed the concept of Agon, right? So Agon, for those who don't know, every person is made up of 4 components. Chi, which is your creator, right? This your source. It is you before you, right? It is your divine. They're all divine, but let's call it your divine creator, right? Divine self. And then there's your eke, which is just that chi into coming into physical form, right? Then there's this part of you called your agun, and then your more is like your aura, your spirit, your unseen self. And so your agon is really interesting because your agon is the part of you that is coming into creation for a purpose. It is also the part of you that is attached to the mind of the creator. right? So it is your guide if you allow it to be your guide in the world, right? But it is coming into the world for a purpose. And every single person is formed according to their purpose. Or as the Ilu says, "Ọwụrụ mmadụ ka chi ya si eke ya," right? Which is each person is created, each person's chi creates them according to their work in the world, right? So if you are created very tall, if you're created very tall, short, all of that is tied back to your why. The best, we talked about this in the traditional medicine class, right? And this is a good way to understand Agho and reincarnation. So the best, or one of the best, so we have this document in the library where there is a guy and he's going to an Nze. For those who don't know, an Nze is a living ancestor, somebody who has undergone a ritual to become a living ancestor. He goes to an Nze and he's asked the Nze, like, "Hey, can I ask you some questions about being an Nze?" And the Nze says, "In order for me to answer the questions about being an Nze, I have to sit on my Nze stool," right? And he ends up asking the guy, "So what makes this stool an Nze stool," right? And the Nze says, this stool is an Nze stool because of its creator, the chi, because of how it was made, right? The eke, because of why it was made, and then which is the Agho, and what we know about the stool, which is the Mu. Okay. Now going into the why, that why makes the stool what it ends up being, right? An Nze stool has 3 legs. Because it's an Nze stool, it has to have 3 legs. Because this is a microphone, okay, this is a pop filter. It stops me from like making loud popping noises. Because it is a pop filter, because its why is being a pop filter, it looks the way it looks. It is made of the material it is made of. It is the size it is made. It is shaped this way, so on and so forth. Now, that why, the Agho, is the part of you that reincarnates, right? After you pass, it will return with the same why, and it will form the next person according to that why. So, yes, ancestors and people they incarnate from tend to look alike. Okay, they will look alike, or you'll be able to look at the eyes in the picture and see parallel, something come through, right? Yeah, that's that. Like for me, my son incarnates from my grandfather. I don't think they look alike that much, but they behave very alike. Very alike. The behavior, it's in the behavior to me more than look. But my son's not done growing. So we'll see how he looks when he gets older, right? Where are we at? You know how, man? Okay, good. Okay. Are there predestined names? Faba, Fa, Ibaji, Twin, and Igbo? Like in Yoruba land, Ibaji, the name Taiwo Kaide. No, not really. Not really. If there was, if there was a practice like that, it's very old. But no, I don't believe there are predestined names. Let me say this: the market day you're born in is one of your names, right? Automatically. So okay, let me correct myself. Yes, there are, right? If you're born on Eke Day, one of your names is Nweke, um, Okeke, Nweke, Ekema, that kind of thing. If you were born on Urie, there's Uriema, Morie, Okorie, which is also Okoye. If you know any Okoyes, that means one of their ancestors was an Okorie, right? Mbeke also for Eke. Mbeke, except Mbeke gets used now to insult people. It's used for a girl that's not very well exposed, like that's not modern, that kind of thing, right? But Mbeke is an Eke name. For Afo, if you're born on Afo Day, you can be Nwafo, you can be Okafo, you can be All these, there's a bunch of the Afro names. Nkwo, Nwankwo, um, what is it? Nwankwo, um, Okonkwo, like Okonkwo from Things Fall Apart was born on Nkwo Day, right? So that's the closest you get. It's like the day you were born is one of your names, but then you'll also have other names like the name your parents give you, name your grandparents give you, that kind of thing, right? Or your market day name could be your formal official name. I don't think that tradition is that like it's not that followed anymore. Right? Meaning divination using numerology. I don't know how to do that. Right? It exists, but I couldn't explain it. I don't know how to do that. Right? But it's a good question anyway. I would love to learn. Uh, should we light our altar every day? It's your choice. So Jay, it's your choice. The ultimately your altar is a representation of you, right? It's a representation of you. It's a representation of a thing known as your ismus, right? So in ancestral thought, you're not just this like arm, leg, arm, head, you know, you're not just that. You are like a solar system. You're like a whole solar system. And in your solar system, there are a bunch of planets and things floating around, moons and so forth. So, by planets, I'm using that as an analogy for like ancestors, guides, all these different things. There's a complex world within you, and you're depicting that in your altar. Now, because it is you, ultimately, you're going to attend to it based on what you want to do, based on what makes sense to you, based on what gets you spiritually connected. So I can tell you to, I don't know, I think said light a candle there every day. But if you don't feel like it, and if it doesn't do anything for you, don't do it. Right? You have to do what connects you spiritually. So when you go to different people's altars, you're going to see a wide range of things being done there, right? Some people will sing, some people do mantras, some people use it as a space to meditate and light. I can never say the word right. Incense, light incense. A whole lot of people do that. Is just your space to go and connect to your source. Okay. Go there to connect to your source and whatever it takes to connect you to your source. Some days you won't feel like it, right? But again, this is you, so it's okay, right? It's okay. And in the fact that you don't feel like it is telling you something about yourself in that time and space. I use my desire to go to my altar as a gauge of my own spiritual health. When I'm really up, when I'm up or when I'm feeling regular, every day, every day, every day. Some days I wake up, I'm like, nah, I don't want to do it today. That usually tells me that I'm off, something's wrong. Maybe I need to rest today. Maybe I need to pull away today. Maybe I need to address things that I haven't thought about or that I'm not facing head on, right? So I use that as a gauge of me, right? Ultimately, this is about connecting to my source, right? Same with you. So I can't say light a candle every day, visit every day. I can't say those things. What I can tell you is you, this is where you go to connect to spirit, right? To be in spirit, right? To perform ego more, to become one with spirit. And whatever it takes to get you there, do that. And you're not gonna know it the first time. I can give you instructions like riding bike on a pedal, like with training wheels. I can give you instructions, and those instructions can help you get used to it and understand what's going on. But as you develop and get older and wiser and learn more about who you are and what connects you and what you're connected to, your practice is going to diverge from what I do, right? It's going to be different from me, right? So originally, I set up an altar on a table. I had all the little, okay, these are the this and this, that kind of thing, and it felt like some BS, right? I just felt like I was talking to like rocks and sticks, right? And I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. But this is something I used to do before I set up that altar. Was every place I've ever lived, I always set up a little garden outside. I always have a garden. I always use random little things like Folgers cup pots and things like that as the holders. Um, and things like that. And I always have plants. And so you go to my balcony, a bunch of tomato vines. I like the tomatoes, peppers, that kind of thing. I always have a bunch of them there. And I used to just always go there and I'd have peace, right? I had a phase where I was smoking pipe tobacco. I had a phase where I was smoking pipe tobacco. And I used to go there and smoke pipe tobacco and read and that kind of thing. And it was just where I went. And I thought one day, wait, why don't that's my altar? You know what I mean? That's where I feel connected. So I moved everything outside, and the day I did that, something clicked, right? Something clicked on a level that I couldn't anticipate. So you're going to make those adjustments and you're going to do what works for you. I can't tell you go there every day, light a candle every day. You do this is a practice in listening to your chi. And your chi is your original voice. Your chi is that the first you before all the doubt and all the other stuff comes in. Okay. So if your original voice says go light that candle, go light that candle. And over time, you get better and better at listening to your chi. Your altar becomes completely customized to who you are. It's closer to art than it is doctrine. Okay. It's closer to art than it is doctrine. But yeah, that's a good question. Where are we at? I'm going back to see if I missed any questions because I do that sometimes. So sorry, question, sir. Is it okay to start venerating my mom as an ancestor when she isn't buried yet? Or is it more proper to wait till she's after? Okay, Venus, that's a really good question. Um, that's a good question. I'd wait till after. Logically, I would wait till after. Okay, I would wait till after because she's not an ancestor till she's buried. Is the way Igbo people see it, right? She hasn't started that process of return until she's buried. Now, here's the thing: her last name is Ugo. So I know that you have access to someone who can figure out who she returns into the world as, who she incarnates as. You have access to that. Okay. So figure that out. Figure that out once she's buried. And the way you care about your mom and you're concerned about your mom, take that and use it to take care for that child. Okay. Use it to care for that new child. The things that maybe your mom wanted to, I mean, maybe your mom went to college, she wanted to get her master's, but she got too busy, so, to help that kid pursue their education. You understand all the things you want for your mom, all the things that, because a big part of what we feel about people is the desire to externalize it, right? So when your mother returns as a new child or new children, that tran give them that love, give them that honor, transfer it over to them. Okay, so that's how it's normally done. That's how it's normally done. So, okay, cool. If you want to be real about it, you'll call the kid my mom, right? You'll call the kid mom, that kind of thing. I always tell this story. My son from my previous life, who was like in his 70s, who came to my wedding. And like Igbo weddings, they don't have the best man thing. But if I could have a best man, it would be him. Like he was like with me the whole time. Really, he just wanted to see his dad get married, which is me, right? But he's in his 70s, and he referred to me as his dad, right? He referred to me as his father, right? That kind of thing. So take that over, have that, or transfer it over, some of that over to the new children, some of it over to um, your spiritual practice, and see where that takes you. That's how our people do it. So, not them. I was reading about Equinsu divination using Oggi. Yeah, you can do divination with Oggi. So I don't know how to, but the Dibia that normally teaches, he's not teaching this quarter, maybe the next quarter, but the Dibia that normally teaches the traditional medicine class, he teaches how to do divination using Koa. So yeah, that's one of the things he teaches. I need to hit him up so I can teach. I can teach the new class it. But yeah, it's one of the things we teach in a traditional medicine class. I just don't know it right now. Like, and when I'm going to teach, I'm going to use his instructions. Okay. So maybe circle back in a few months and ask me the same question, or join the class and learn with us. But yeah, there is a way to you do divination with Kola. I don't know if it's called a Quinsu divination. I don't know that. It could be, but the da, 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 da. Okay, what's the most uncanny similarity between Odinala and other traditions you find? Oh, what? What? I tell you, listen, if I tell you some things, you're gonna be like, you're gonna think I'm crazy. Traditions you found. I see a lot of correlation between Odinala and Hinduism, for example. There are correlations with Odinala and nearly everything you can think of. Okay, and the correlations go deep. They go deep. So what you can do is you can name the tradition, and I can give you some of the correlations I saw. But I can't just say, "Oh, I see a correlation with this one," right? Because it's I see more correlation than I see difference. You understand? There's more correlation than difference. But yeah, a lot of correlation with Hinduism. When I look at like when Hindus describe what their worldview and their ancestral perspective, everything they're saying I get, like it makes sense, right? Dharma, karma, right? Dharma is similar to Ogun. Ogun. The four world ages, to the point where they damn near, like some of them have damn near the same name, like they sound alike. Just everything I can look at like a Hindu altar, I know what's going on, I get it, right? Just a whole bunch of stuff. It's similar algorithm being used to do different things, and the different things is based on the land, right? The Odinala means as it is on the land, right? And we use Odinala to inform Omenala, which is the word for culture, but it means as it's done on the land. So the Odinala everywhere in the world is the same. It's the same. But because we're on different lands with different history, we have different Omenala. And sometimes you just look at the Omenala and say, oh, this is a different thing. But it's really not. It's really not, right? If you open the hood and look at the engine and carburetor and all that stuff, it's the same thing. They're all cars, right? That kind of thing. So yeah, there's more correlation than there's difference. So that's a hard question for me to answer. But when I look at what Hindus are saying, I get it. It all makes sense, right? It all makes sense. I even, unfortunately, I mean, I'm not. It's not my place to say. I think they should stop trying to classify it as a religion too, because it's shrinking the scope of what they're actually talking about. That is the collection of their ancestral thoughts, right? Their ancestral understanding and ancestral legacy of knowledge accumulation over time. That's what that is. And so when I look at it, if I'm trying to learn about the world and you're trying to learn about the world, we're going to say a lot of very similar things, right? There's this scene in, I don't know which, maybe the Vedas or something, where Krishna, I believe, reveals that he's actually Vishnu, and he shows this person his full, complete self, right? We learned about this in like a religious studies class back in the day that I had. And it was in the West, they call it a theophany, like when a person reveals their full God form or a thing reveals its full God form. And in Odinala, we call that Awele, right? We call the same thing Awele, right? And the journey of life is Ijawele, the journey of Awele, the journey of unraveling that full form, the real you, right? The you that you may not be aware that you are that big or you are that full thing, but you are. And the journey of life, through the journey of life, it gets revealed, right? I used in my Chi Explained video, um, I used a line by Nas, right, in the very beginning. And the line was, let me try to say it right. When everything around me got cloudy, um, everything around me got cloudy. something about his chair became a king's throne, his destiny found him, all this stuff. It was clear why the struggle was so painful. Metamorphosis, this is what it came to, and God, I'm so grateful. Like, that was the line that I used, right? Because that was a process of a person learning who they've been this whole time, right? Who they've been. It's not, you don't become your higher self, as they call it in the West. You don't become your full self. You don't really reach Awele. You realize what you've been the whole time, right? You realize how big you actually are, right? And at the same time, how small you actually are, and what you are in the context of all these things of creation. You realize it. You don't become it, right? And so it's the same thing, right? So some people will translate as, oh, he became Vishnu. He didn't become, he was always Vishnu, right? He just let you see it. Right? Now you can see what I am. The analogy that I always use this analogy, right, is the seed, right? In ancestral thought, a seed is a forest. Every seed is a forest, right? So if you see a seed, you're also seeing a forest. And for us that are, maybe we call them ufeke, those who are not spiritually aware, they're dependent on their five senses for detecting what is what, right? But if you take this seed and let it fall on the ground, right, and it interacts with the four elements, eke, light, uri, water, afo, earth, and wind. It interacts with those four elements. It begins to sprout, right? As it begins to sprout, little insects will come and chew on its leaves, and they'll defecate and they'll die, and they'll fertilize the soil, make the soil more nutrient rich, will feed the plant even more. Those little bugs, maybe they're ants or whatever, will attract bigger creatures. They'll defecate near the plants. They will leave little seeds from their defecation. Those seeds will now start growing more plants. A bird will perch, it'll defecate, more plants will come. Your tree now blooms, it starts dropping its own seeds, more plants come. As things are dying beneath, the the fungus network, the mycelium network starts developing, starts eating the things there. The things that feed on the mycelia show up, they create more life. And in 200 years, 100 years, whatever you want to call it, you now see that this whole place is a big ass forest, right? From a seed, it's an entire forest. But it's always been that. It's just the person, the ofeke, the spiritually unaware, needed time and space to see what's always been, right? So, in the answer, like for example, now, like when I talk about ancestors, right? I'll talk about ancestors. People think I'm talking about something from the past, that I'm talking about the past. Absolutely not. Your ancestors are the present. They were also the past, and they're also going to be the future. It's all one thing. You're choosing to see these intervals of time as separate. You understand? I was thinking about this the other day, and I think I was trying to explain this on a live, right? Where it's like things. How do I say this? I'm trying to. Things are in one way of thinking. In one way of thinking, things are real because they affect reality, right? Like I know this lighter is real because I can hold it, I can sense it with my senses, and it can affect reality. If I throw it against the wall, it might leave a mark or something, right? It can affect reality. And I was thinking, like, let's say I have a job interview in the morning, right? That job interview in the morning, even though it hasn't come into existence yet, it's not real yet, it hasn't happened, it is affecting the reality throughout the whole week or throughout the whole day. It's maybe I'm hanging up my clothes, maybe I'm making sure to do my laundry, maybe I'm spending this time now to practice my answering them fake ass little questions and that kind of thing. It's actually affecting reality the same way me throwing this against the wall would affect reality. So even though it's in the future, it's really not in the future, right? A phase of it is in the future, or a face of it is in the future, but it was in the present and it was in the past as well, right? So it's a different way of seeing time, right? And that's Awele, theophany, all that stuff, right? And I saw that in that Hindu story. That story impacted me a lot. It made a lot of sense to me. Guys, hold on. I have to go get something. And I believe other streamers be leaving the live open, so I'm gonna do that. Hold on, I gotta get something. All right, where are we at? Okay. Yeah, so that just seeing time like that, right? I think Hindus kind of have a similar way of seeing it as well. All right, two. I had a super tall great aunt that would complain about her height all the time. My family thinks she came back as my aunt who is uncannily short. Yeah. Yeah, that happens. So the big idea is careful what you wish for because in reincarnation, in the process of reincarnation, you may get it, right? And so I read this really interesting thing. It said that men who are tired of the burden of being men will come back as women or sometimes come back as women, and women who want to be respected more in their next life will sometimes come back as men. And I found that really interesting, and there's a lot of room for interpretation on that. But yeah, that happens all the time. Like my uncle, my dad's brother, incarnated as my brother and about four more of my younger cousins. And all of them had a phase in their life where they were very like troublesome, right? They were very, very troublesome at one point. But my dad's brother, while he was alive, he played by all the rules, right? He did the right thing anytime he could. He was always like the upstanding uncle. He was the one that you can send errands and money and things. For my dad, he's the older brother. He can trust that uncle with anything because he'll do the right thing. And my mom said something really interesting one day, right? And she said that she thinks that when he came back into the world, because he passed away very young. He's probably in his like mid 20s when he passed. Mid 20s even stretching. He was like probably like 23 when he passed, right? And he came back rebellious, maybe out of anger for the previous life because he followed all the rules and it didn't pan out for like that's what happened, right? It panned out that way. He passed away from like a bad asthma attack, something simple. He wasn't taking his medicine, to my knowledge, but he passed away from a very bad asthma, like asthma and things like that. Yeah. And so, but yeah, he played life by the rules and it didn't work. So the next round, it was like four kids that just didn't play it by the rules. They all wild out. And so yeah, things like that happen. A lot of past life things make you make a decision about the next life that is different from what you did before, what you were before, right? Like complaining about height and then I ended up coming back short. Hey Becky and there, well, nice seeing you. All right, no Dinala, are their ancestors are all ancestors good? Okay, this is a really good question. I just skipped it. Hold on. Two. Damn, I see some good ass questions. Hold on. Where was that one about ants? Divination meaning numerology. We passed that. Uh Super tall. We just talked about that. Are ancestors good? Okay, so Indigos, are all ancestors good? Quick answer is no. With veneration, are only honoring those who honor you. Uh no, not really. No, not all ancestors are good, right? Um, we're not really connecting to ancestors because they're good. We're connecting to them because that's what we do, right? That's what we do because they're family, right? And then on top of being family, they're you. You understand? So you may have some ancestors that aren't good, but that's a part of you, right? That's a part of you too. In order to understand yourself, you have to understand what happened before this phase of the story, which is you. And some of it isn't good. All right. I have one ancestor that was he's like a warlord. He committed a lot of atrocities, right? But I still venerate him, right? Atrocities, as my mom describes it, anyway. Uh, her and my dad argued. Her and my dad had to argue about it, and we usually take my dad's side. Like, hey, that was the time, but you know, like there were still atrocities, right? Some dark stuff. But yeah, that's a part of me, it's a part of who I am. So I don't connect to myself by curating what parts of myself I connect to, right? So yeah, it's not just good ancestors, it's all of them. All of them who were buried. Some of them have committed aro, and the aro is like an abomination against the earth, right? So aro would be, I can never say it right, incest. And incest is more broadly defined in Igbo context. So, like, sleeping with the spouses of your siblings is incest in the Igbo context, or like people with a common ancestor. So sometimes, like in America, like after like two cousins removed, that's not a big deal. But there, it's like if I know that I had this grandmother and we all came from this grandmother, it just can't, or great grandmother even, it's just not going to happen, right? All of that. Desecrating what belongs to Mo and what belongs to Allah is Aro. And that changes from place to place, right? So everywhere you go will have its sacred animal. No matter where you go, you don't kill that sacred animal. Even if where you come from, it's okay. Once you get on that land and they say, hey, we don't kill bald eagles here, you don't do it. It's Aro. We don't kill dogs here. You don't do it. It's Aro, right? I'm in the land, I'm in America. You don't kill dogs and bald eagles. Where I'm from, you don't kill pythons, Eken Jaba. And then there's a part of my village where you don't kill monkeys, right? That kind of thing. So, trying to think of some other things that are Aro. Every land has its own Aro. But murder, unaliving. I don't know if they use TikTok rules here, right? But taking somebody's life is Aro. Then there are some particular Aro too, like beating a pregnant woman is Aro. Yeah, things like that. Right? So I have an ancestor that took a lot of people's lives, and so that was in its time Aro, but it was atoned for because of context or something. It was a war, right? Oh, I listed all that stuff to say. So if that ancestor's done that stuff, then you can skip venerating them, right? Not necessarily because it's bad, but because it's a direct violation against Allah. And so when you say, I'm with this ancestor, like then it's you and that ancestor versus Allah, versus the earth, right? You're inheriting the Aro, and you don't want to do that because you don't have beef with Allah, right? That kind of thing. What if you live in an apartment and can't really have an altar outside? Yeah, not everybody has that choice just because of the lifestyle we live, especially in the West. But you don't have to have it outside. For me, having it outside helped, right? The only thing I would instruct is make sure that it gets sunlight. Your altar has to get sunlight, right? We were just talking about this in a traditional medicine class. So in the Igbo tradition of healing, if you're forming medicine and you form the medicine in under sunlight and in the dark, the medicines come out differently. They create two different medicines. And there's this Dibia, he's somewhere on YouTube, or one of his students joined our traditional medicine class, and he shared this video where he was learning under this particular Dibia. And the Dibia told him that, that thing, like, okay, I want you to make medicine in the light, and I want you to make the exact same medicine in the dark, and it's like a liquid, and we want to see the difference. And the one in the dark was a lot filmier than the light one, which was clear. And he was amazed by it, right? Because he didn't know that was such a factor. So saying that to say, you don't have to have your altar outside if circumstance don't permit, but make sure it touches sunlight. You can also use the sun as an altar, though I would advise that for people that have been at this for a long time, right? Because you have to have that click moment before you move on to that level. But make sure your altar gets sunlight because it creates a whole different process, a whole different connection with sunlight. I'll do mine. 222. Wait, can you talk about ancestors? Okay. Can you talk about if our ancestors practice what we know as astrology today or equivalent? So I think they may have. I think they may have. I just happen to not know, and I'm having a hard time finding information on that. If they did, it's not really that emphasized in Igbo culture. It's not, the stars are not that emphasized, or that aspect, like astrology, is not, excuse me, that emphasized. What I can tell you that mirrors what you know as astrology is the four is Eke, Uri, Afo, and Nkwo, which is the 4 day calendar. Okay. So we know that if you are born on Eke Day, your spiritual market is open on Eke Day. So your ability to access spirit is stronger, better. The ball is in your court spiritually on that Eke Day. If you're born on Uri, then same thing for you, Alpha, all those different things. So understanding those 4 days will tell you different things about yourself, like your personality and your purpose, or how you approach your purpose, where you find your strength. Uri people get their strength from water, their spiritual and physical strength from water. So there are some people where it's like, oh, if I go take a swim, I feel better. If I take a shower, I wake up, I enlighten, I become one with myself. If I go fishing, all these different water type things. If I go pray by the water, it's totally different. For me, I'm Afo, which is earth. And one of the reasons, now I understand that one of the reasons that going outside and having that garden made everything come alive for me is because I can interact with the soil, right? I can interact with nature, with the leaves and soil, and that made it real for me, right? That made it real for me. That's where I get my strength and my source from. I can play with sand and dirt. Like right now, I'm trying to dig I'm digging they're called like a French drain, because the land, the way they build things in Texas, there's always this like flood on the side of people's houses. So I'm digging out a French drain, and just like I'm going to start it this weekend, and I'm pumped to do that shit. Like I am pumped, right? I am excited because I'm gonna get to dig and do my little architecture, and make my little concoction, and have the water go from one place to another, and that kind of thing, and that gives me life. I'm excited about it. Some people hear that and like, man, I'm trying to do that bullshit. So Eke Uri Afo Nkwo, those things will tell you different, like where your strength comes from, right? They'll tell you different things about yourself and so forth, right? What else? What else? What else? There's also the fact that for every person born and every person that's ever existed, there's one star in the sky that's theirs and a grain of sand on earth that is theirs, right? And they're connected. Sometimes this grain of sand is like a pebble or like a stone that's theirs. You understand? Um, and so yeah, that's as close to like maybe what you'd understand about astrology as I would know. Like Uriya people have one personality type, Afro people have one personality type. Each of them, it's best to do things on certain days depending on who you are, that kind of thing. So, but as far as like, oh, that's Leo and all that stuff, I don't have any information on that. I've seen versions of it, but I want to see it in more places because I'm skeptical about some of the ones I've seen. What is the name of the pyramids in Igbo? Why did they build them? And do they still build them today in Igbo land? You make a video about the pyramid building in Igbo too. Yeah, so thank you so much for that question. The pyramids are known as Aqua Ala, or Aquali, Aquali. Two different dialects. So let's just do Aquala, right? Aquala Omumu. So in my video, Omumu explained, I talk about what they actually are, and what they are a shrine known as Aquala, which is literally translates to an earth egg, right? Earth egg. And what it does is it channels this energy known as Omumu. It channels an energy called Almumo. Almumo is the feminine energy of creation, right? It is the seat of power of anything that's classified as feminine, anything we understand to be feminine, right? It's the seat of power for Allah, right? Allah's power is Almumo. Ikala bu Almumo, right? Omomo, or Omo, is procreative energy, creative energy, the ability to infuse life into things, and so forth, right? And so, what those pyramids do is they channel that energy from the earth for human use, from the earth for human use, right? Those pyramids were all over Igbo land, all over Igbo land. Famous, the ones that became famous that were photographed were the Nsude pyramids, Nsude, Nsude pyramids, right? I don't think there is a community that still does them. A lot of the people who are aware of them and what they are not the people in power in these communities. So as our generation gets older, they'll probably come back. Or as people in our generation gain a little bit more authority, maybe take titles and things like that, they can start the process of coming back. But as of right now, the amount of people who understand what they were that are they're either really old and not decision makers, or they're around like my age and younger, and they kind of learned it from places like Medicine Show, things like that. And we would have to be the ones that bring it back. But as of right now, that little pocket of elders we have, they don't know what the hell that shit is, right? So there's no community that does that, to my knowledge, anymore. But there are like Udinani practitioners who make their own personal aquali, right? But it's small. It's like a small personal one you have in your home, like small personal ones you have in your home. But anywhere you see pyramids all over the world, that's what they are. That's what they are, right? That's what they are. Yeah, it's a lost technology. The incest thing varies by ethnicity, no blood at all, somebody cousins. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Tutu. Why has everybody got a new name? Hello, AY Dion. Hold on. Tutu. I was chatting with a relative. Okay. Black Virginians only marry other Black Virginians, like real bougie about it. Is there anything similar in Igbo culture? Yeah, kinda. Um, People tend to want their kids to marry somebody from their village, from the same town. If I say village, you'll probably think like five people from the same town, right? People tend to want their kids to marry someone from the same town. This is universal throughout Igbo land. So my wife is from a community that's like 15 minutes away from mine. That was slightly controversial. It was slightly. The only reason it wasn't controversial was because I'm an Americana. So the fact that I'm even marrying from home was like, okay, fine, whatever, go, right? But yeah, there's a bunch of BS like that at home too. I think the main thing for Igbo people is that when a woman marries, she joins the man's community. And so a lot of people want their daughter to at least stay in the community, right? To at least, they want to be able to walk over to where she's at, on the other side of town and that kind of thing. They don't want to cross a damn bridge to get to their daughter, right? That's a lot of where that comes from. And there's like stereotyping that everybody thinks their town is the best and has the best people and da 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 da. So of course they're gonna want you to pick somebody from your town because everything else is a step down, right? The way they see it, just BS like that, right? There's some places where where the stereotyping is so bad that if you try to marry from there, you're gonna hear a bunch of BS. But in this generation, people don't care anymore, right? Like I'm from Imo State, and there's a town in Imo State called Mbise. I'm sorry for any Mbise people that are watching this, but a lot of people, oh, don't marry from Mbise. You can't trust them, blah, blah, just dumb shit, that kind of thing. And so my brother-in-law was dating a girl from Mbise, and his parents, who maybe who they're watching, They had the nerve to get me like, oh, MB, say why MB? Say why'd you go to MB? Say and he doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. He grew up in America. He's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? But he ended up marrying his wife is Black American, right? So is you know what you got to say about that, right? That kind of thing. His wife's Black American now, so yeah, that kind of thing. That settled the problem, right? But like, you can't marry somebody in your town that you have a common ancestor with. That's crazy, right? Most the towns are not related. They're not like we're not relatives, right? We'll have like a side of town that's all one family, another side of town that's another family, another side. I think it's similar in places in the South. Another side that's another family and that kind of thing. And then like in order to marry you, of course, I have to step out. And they do this thing called the investigation, where like you send a spy over to their town to ask questions about the family and ask about like their ancestors and who's related to who, just to make sure. I had an uncle who there was like a little bit of a panic when he brought his girlfriend back because they look alike. him and his girl, him and his now wife look like brothers and sisters. So we had to do a heavy investigation, and they weren't related. So I don't know. Where are we at? My elder sister, I'm sorry. Okay, that's not a question. How do you do libations inside the home? Wow, good question. I can't really pour on the ground or spit on a wall. I've been doing offerings of smoke. That's cool. But I really want to use water. Okay. Um, I like doing DIY, like kind of home stuff. So I would set up some paneling behind your altar so that if you go, it hits the paneling. Um, if you have carpet, I guess that would make it difficult. Yeah, the Western houses aren't really built for the tradition. Um, some people have a tray. This is the smartest way to do it. Some people have a tray that they pour libations onto. Okay. Some people have a tray that they pour libations onto, and then whenever you feel like it, you can go pour everything that you've accumulated outside. But some people have a tray they pour the libations onto, or a vase. A vase. Oh, never mind. How do we know what market day that we're on? Hold on. I keep hitting the wrong button. How do we know? I think I almost mentioned. How do you? Okay, wait. That was already answered. How do we know what market day we're born on? I was born on Monday, but the market day does not translate. No, it's not going to translate like that. So, funny enough, people hate AI, but Chat GPT is good at figuring out your market day. There are some like websites where it's like learn your market day, but I don't know if they do the full math. So what you're going to put on Chat GPT or any AI that just Chat, I don't know about the rest of them, but Chat GPT is I was born at this time at this hospital or this state or whatever, as long as you get the time zone, right? I was born at this time at this hospital on this day. What would be my market day in the Igbo calendar that you can, yeah, what would be what market day was it? What market day was this on the Igbo calendar? What market day was this on the Igbo calendar? And ask ChatGPT. It'll figure it out for you accurately, right? The reason that is because the days, not only, of course, English calendar is like 7 days, Igbo calendar is 4 days. So automatically the days are not lined up one to one. And then there is the time zone situation. So let's say in over here, it may still be Monday, it may still be Eke in Wyoming, where you were born, right? It may still be Eke, but because of the time zone, we're already in Uri over here, right? We're already in Orie over here. And then the days in the Igbo calendar start when the women in the community open the market. That's when the day starts. In English, I think it just, or in English, in Oyibo, in Oyibo, the day just starts when the clock hits 12. In Igbo, it starts when the women in the market open the market. They're called market days, right? Once the so 3 a.m. is a new day in the Western world, but in the Igbo world, it's still the same day as 9 p.m. Yeah, I said that right. It's still the same day as 9 p.m. because the market hasn't been open. The market is typically opened 5-ish, 6-ish. When the rooster makes a little noise, caw, 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 like kind of when the sun starts cracking open. When nature says it's a new day, right? Not when Constantine says it. When nature says it's a new goddamn day, right? Then the women open the market and the new day begins. So because it's not lined up, like the not just the days, but like the culture around timing is not lined up. Ask ChatGPT, I was born on this time at this place. Just say the time and the place on this day. Maybe, in this year. Okay, also add the year, this year, right? What date or what market day was this in Igbo land? And then it'll tell you it was Eke, it was Afo, it was Nkwo. Some of y'all go test it and come back and tell me what results you get, right? Go back and test it and see what results you get. That is the most accurate way to figure it out that I know about so far, other than your folks remembering, which they didn't remember because they weren't there. Looking at the family tree, I haven't seen it yet. Okay. I have an Eke day in the house on the Mweke. Ekema. Do you determine your market day on the day/time you were born, equivalent, and Alibo? Okay, so I already answered that question. So I hope you heard what I just said. What are personal traits of Nkwo and Eke people? Cool. Nkwo, purpose oriented, problem solvers, strong sense of justice. Eke, strong sense of self, strong presence. Temperamental. Somebody use Fela. Fela Kuti is a good example of an Eke. That kind of, no, I think he's more of an Uri, just because of the wildness, right? Temperamental, good, Eke. Most comfortable in control. They're comfortable when they're in control, right? Also Eke. When they're on, they're on. When they're on, they're on. When they're bright, they're bright. When they're on, they're on. When you're going, you're really going. You're strong, right? Once you're at full gear, your full gear is more full than the normal full gear, right? So those are just the things I know, right? Those are just things I know. I know, right? YouTube took our chosen usernames away. Oh, really? Oh, okay. I thought everybody was coming with new names at the same time. I was like, hey, YouTube, I guess they're, I don't know. That's cool. Speaking of Earth eggs, damn it. Speaking of Earth eggs, the Herero in Namibia bury their dead in clay eggs in round. Okay, yeah, low entry. Clayed over. Yeah. So same thing, an earth egg. Aqua Allah, right? Reimpregnating the earth with the being, which will then come back as a seed. Yeah, so that's interesting. Thanks for sharing that. I didn't know that about them. German phrenologists broke them to steal the skulls. Really? Really? Creative force. Are you talking about the Insude pyramids? Are you talking about the Insude pyramids? Speaking of earth altars, Lumba people in central Congo require one to sit on the earthen throne, which is inside of an earthen building. The throne, medicine is the throne, and gets pressed down. That's interesting. By rain and dirt, people just build a new layer of clay on top of it anyway after the insulation of one is adult. That's really dope. I didn't know that. I will look into that. I'm studying the cultures in Congo. I have been for the past 2 years. All right, this thing is, hold on. I have cheap vinyl floors, not trying to test the strength, but those are good ideas. Thanks, Aldemar. Cool. Oh wow, I didn't notice the numbers behind my name. Didn't put that there. Yeah, everybody had different names, so I was confused as to who's who. Because some of y'all it was like number one, and then it'd be like a name I've never seen before. So that makes a lot more sense. My mom married my dad. Is from BC and says the same. Oh shit. The way I didn't know it was a stereotype. Yeah. It's a heavy stereotype for MBC people. Funny enough, I always wondered what the stereotype for people from my village was, and the stereotype is that we're crazy, right? Which is this true? Yeah, it's completely true. I even Namdi Kanu insulted us one time. He had one person from our mama who was irritating him. He says that our mama is full of crazy people. But yeah, I think we're stereotyped is that we're crazy and hot headed. It seems, but we're very like we're known for our Owu dance. We're very famous for that. Our Owu is number one, right? It's the best. Um, there's a bunch of places with stereotypes. But yeah, MBC, you're not supposed to trust MBC. They said that here I am spreading like anti-MBC propaganda. This is not reality, right? It's not reality, but the saying they say is that if you're driving and there's a snake on the road and an MBC person, you should hit the MBC person first. And so that's what they say, man. And so yeah, I don't know what the hell MBC did to everybody that got them so mad. But yeah, people getting really antsy about MBC for some reason. But MBC people are also like they also feel like MBC is like up here and everybody else is down here. So I don't know. Oh, we had to create new names. Exactly. My cousin subscribe. Okay. Y'all got to use question marks, yo. Wow. I didn't notice numbers by my name. There we go. But what is the math Chat GPT is using to calculate it? So Chat GPT, all the things I said. So like I said, the day in Igbo land doesn't begin the same time as the West. So it's factoring that. It's factoring the time zones, right? The different time zones, and then it also knows what market day each day was. So see, that's the math it's using. It would be hard to do by yourself, to figure out by yourself, right? It would be hard to figure out. A lot of them will do like, oh, you were born on this day, it was this market day, which like if you do a one-to-one translation, yes. But a lot of people were born like in the AM at night, and those times are the ones that cause the most mix up. Because even though a new day starts in the West at like 11 or 12 a.m., it doesn't mean that a new day has started in Igbo land. So if you're born 12 a.m. and you think you were born on this date, you're actually supposed to be in this still on this date over here because the day hadn't started. So it's just it's like an algorithmic mathematical thing. So shit. My cousin described reasoning basically because black people aren't the same as us and we don't intermix. That's crazy. That's interesting. I believe it. Everybody always finds a reason to feel better than somebody or feel exclusive. So that's just a weird human thing that humans like to do. That y'all humans like to do. Oh wow, didn't notice. Okay, I keep reading the same thing over and over. Community-wide conversation for past Gregorian dates. Is there a market day that's bad luck to be born on? No. Should you do itraja for relatives still alive who have committed abomination, or just yourself? The way it's done in Igbo culture, so you can do it for other people. And the reason I know this is because in Igbo culture, if a person commits aro and they refuse to atone, their firstborn daughter can do it for them, right? Or they can't atone for some reason, I don't know, whatever. Their firstborn daughter can do it for them. So that tells me that you can do that, but I think it's more that person's business. And it's more than a sacrifice that goes into it. There's a whole cleaning process and a trial and all kinds of stuff. It's dramatic, right? It's very dramatic. But yeah, you can, if you're the person's firstborn daughter in the Igbo culture, so it tells me that yes, you can. You can do that. That's a good question. Elemental day, good or bad. I just put my birth information in ChatGPT and it did give me a market day. Okay, that's dope. ChatGPT. Oh, hold on. I put it in the calculator from a reputable source and it gave me alpha. Cool. Birthday. The calculator is from Alma's Garden. Alma's Garden is awesome. Go check out Alma's Garden, guys. It's an incredible website collection of knowledge. I think it's Alma's Garden. Somebody put the link in there. I think it's like almasgarden.probably.com. I don't know. Yeah, ChatGPT can't pinpoint the standard Evo calendar. It tells the user to go to a website. Oh, okay. I didn't know. Well, for a minute there, it was being accurate, so I don't know. It was the British that started the MBC stereotype. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, I think it was, yeah. So Ray X is talking about something that's real and happened. The I think they think the MBC stereotype started from the British, because the MBC people killed like a colonial officer, like a very famously killed a colonial officer, and they think that's one of the theories that that's why all the villages have been have a bunch of anti-MBC propaganda floating around, right? So who knows? Very uncertain response from ChatGPT of the birthday conversation. It conflicted with previous results I've gotten. Yeah, I mean, people have done things and gotten results. I think honestly, here's my thing, right? If you pay attention to where you draw your strength from as a person, right? Elementally, pay attention to what elements speak to you as a person. And I think to me, that's more accurate than anything, right? If you want to be like super into the dates and stuff, then yeah, I think some type of calculator, that's fine. Um, like ChatGPT or the one on Alma's Garden and that kind of thing. Um, but ultimately, you're looking for the element that is connected to you as a person, right? And some people, when they go to the beach, it's a whole different experience for them than a person who, the people that wake up at the morning and they can run once the sun is out, and they're very like light morning people, fire, that kind of thing. You know, that person doesn't need to look too far to figure out what their element is. They're already living it, right? I'm already living it. I'm an earth person, right? So yeah, that's the most accurate way. Oh, I get it's like calculating one's a strong, yeah, birth chart. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good way to see it. There's many black people and okay, since many black people in America have European blood as well, is it disrespectful to incorporate them in on ritual even if they are venerated? Is it disrespectful to incorporate them on no, that's your family, right? A lot of people don't want to hear that, but it is what it is. That's part of you too. They're your ancestors as well, right? Um and so, yeah, incorporate them is what I would say, which I'm sure is controversial. It's just it's the truth of it, right? You're here to hear the truth. Incorporate them as well. Hold on. So, someone told me if you can see a lot of like the whites under someone's eyes, that they're crazy. And that's like a surefire way of doing it. They're crazy. And I was looking like this, and I was like, whatever. But then I was like, oh shit, I can see it. But like, I'm like, man, get that out of your head. Get that out of your head. So that's why I was laughing. All right. So, but it was just my positioning. I think that's just normal. Or not normal. I'm not saying normal. All right. Is there any map? Is there any map with the name Kemet on it? I don't know. I don't think so. Since many black people in America have your okay, we already answered that. I am not aware, Charles, I'm not aware of a map that says Kemet on it, right? I'm not aware of a map from that civilization period. I don't know if they mapped things the same way we do with paper and all that stuff. I'm not aware of a map. Maybe one exists and they're not making it visible to everybody else. What is the traditional understanding of family dynamics in Igbo land? Like the nuclear family concept is foreign. So, what is the understanding? This is a really cool question. All right. So, understanding of family. Your family is like your country, right? Your family is your country very much. So, families have governments, right? And they govern themselves and they're completely independent of the rest of the community. You understand? That's how Igbo people see it, right? Funny enough, it relates to the farming yam, how yam, and I'm actually going to talk about that in the next video, right? Which was not what people asked for, but I have an urge to do this topic, so I'm going to do it, right? But what was I talking about? So yeah, we don't do the nuclear family; we do the extended family. So families are identified by a common ancestor, a common ancestor. So we have a common mother, father that created that just and all their offspring. They're all seen as one family, right? The each man, like the father of that mother father pairing, is going to have the family awful, right? Family awful. It's like a staff of authority and that kind of thing. And so whoever holds the awful is like traditionally is the prayer leader for the family. This is the person whose job it is to make sure that all of the ancestors are greeted in the morning. This is the person who, when there's like disputes in the family, this person can serve as a judge, right? I'm supposed to be able to serve as a judge because when you're holding the awful, you can't lie. So that gets passed down first son to first son to first son to first son to first son. Some families, they just rotate. In fact, most families, honestly, they rotate the oldest guy in the family gets it. The oldest person in the family gets it, right? Going back. So everybody has a common ancestor, and then in from that common ancestor, we have what's called ancestral land. So your ancestral land, all the people that live there are going to descend from that common ancestor, right? All the people that live in your ancestral land descend from the common ancestor. You can't sell that land unless the whole family agrees. You understand? You can't sell any of it unless the whole, because it's not your land, it's that ancestor's land. And you're all pieces of that ancestor. So you can't just unilaterally sell their property, that kind of thing. But it's like a little, it's a village, right? And in that village, everybody there is relatives. Like if my family, like my father and mother and my siblings, our house is here. And then in the backyard, Our backyard is like an open space, and then it's surrounded by houses from different people that all have the same ancestor, and then behind them more. But we've now expanded onto we've expanded. We were growing, right? And as we grow, we incorporate more in ancestral land by buying it and then putting more houses up and that kind of thing. So everybody around you is your family. You go out. When I was little, one of the things I loved living in the village, you go outside and it's just like you got like 200 cousins and everybody just running around, just chaos, that kind of thing. This one's crying, this one's kicking that one, they're playing soccer over here. The girls are doing their dance routine over there, that kind of thing, right? So it's like your own little town. And we believe that's your family, right? That's your family. The word family is ezinulo. Ezi means outside and outside the house and inside the house. That's what family, how we say the word family. Outside the house and inside the house. All of that is family. All of your uncles are uncle, right? All of your uncles are uncle. All of your cousins are your brother, sister. You don't say, there's no word for cousin. All of your aunts are aunts. There's no aunt twice removed, whatever, right? In fact, if I want to be more technical, all of the mothers in the community are called mommy, or whatever your word for mommy is, mommies, right? All of the fathers are seen the same way. They're all fathers of everybody in the thing. You understand, right? And so, yeah, it's not a nuclear family thing. It's an extended family situation, and then each family functions as like its own unit, like that's independent of the whole town. So you are responsible for each other's collective well-being and development and behavior and growth and things like that. If somebody from your family violates somebody from the other family, your two families will have like a trial with each other. Like the elders in the family will form like a court or like judges, and then you guys will represent and do all that kind of thing and so forth. So yeah, that's the family, the umunna, umunna, umunna. Now, on an individual level, you kind of have like two families. You have your mother's family and your father's family. Your father's family is your main family, right? When you pass away, you're going to be buried on your father's land. You're not buried on your mother's land. If you drop on your mother's land, they'll pick you up and take you to your father's land, because that's where you belong. You're a member of that group, right? But your mother's land is what's known as your umerenne. Umerenne. And when you're at the umerenne, you're what's referred to as mwangwa, so a child's child, our child's child, right? As mwangwa, you don't have to do any chores. You don't have to. You just get pampered. Like they can't punish you. No matter what you do there, you can't be punished. If they want to punish you, they have to call somebody from your original family to come and send you back home so they can punish you. But your mom's people will never punish you, right? And so whenever somebody has like a fight or a beef or they're running from something, they always run to their umar, and they're like a lot of people who run off somewhere, they'll run to their umar and to hide, right? And that kind of thing. So those are the two families you belong to. In your father's side, like there's a family government, so you get to like vote and you have like a say. But on your mother's side, you don't get to vote, and you don't really have a say. It's not your government, right? But again, you're like a diplomat, so you can sit in. They'll get you the best seat in the house, that kind of thing. So that's all this stuff, and then the family doesn't end at the living, right? That's important. I know we know that, right? Your family doesn't end at the living. The person who holds the offer makes sure that the non-living are included in the activities of the living, and the living are included in the activities of the non-living by serving as the intermediary between those two worlds, right? And yeah, so when we talk about ancestors, again, we're not talking about people from the past. They're here with us. They're still a part of the fold, right? They're still a part. They're still considered when we do things. We still consider them when we do things, right? Like trying to think of an example. Anyways, yeah, we still consider them when we do things, right? So I'll do them when we make family decisions. The person that holds, like when we're voting for doing family votes, the person that holds the awful, if you're holding an awful from an ancestor, you vote for on their behalf. So somebody can have two alpha because maybe they're a first son, they have their own, and then they have the one from like their dad. So they vote twice. They get two votes instead of one because they're representing two members of the family. One of them is just not physically here right now. He can't speak right now, but he agrees with me, right? That kind of thing. So that's how they do family over there. Okay, all right. So I guess the Chat GPT is not working anymore. Oma's garden is amazing. Yes, it is. What are we doing? I need to roll back up. I think I missed a whole bunch. I miss your videos. Yeah. It's been a while since I made a video. I've just been in a strange headspace. And it's been different for me. I don't think it's 100% a bad thing, but I think I'm ready to start doing my videos again. I always just get there and then like I'm just like, nah, not today, you know. Which I need to I need to chill on that, right? I'm supposed to just grind it out. Okay, where are we at? Let me go back. What are okay, yeah, and I'm glad you're asking about the age grades. Let me go back to I think I missed some questions. Okay. Okay. Really good question. What are the names of each age grade and what are their responsibilities to the community? Okay, so this is a good question. So, what's an age grade? An age grade is everybody born within a generation. And by generation, it's usually like 4 years, right? One of the things you notice when you live communally is that babies come in waves. There'll be like a wave and then like a few and then a wave and then a few because you see a whole bunch of people be pregnant at the same time and then not be in that kind of thing, right? Um, and so within like a 4 year kind of group, 4-year group is one age grade. So the age grade, what an age grade is that 4 year group, you guys are going to move through life together. So you have your own little organization known as your um, Ubu, which is your age grade in English, and your age grade. What an age grade is remember I was talking about the family government. So you got your own little age grade government too, right? You guys raise money to do different things. Like, okay, we're gonna have a pizza party. I'm just gonna have a pizza party because I'm talking to a lot of Americans, right? We're gonna have a pizza party. You all raise money. You do the pizza party, that kind of thing. You guys settle disputes between each other. And then a lot of age grades will like help pay for each other's different things like education, help pay each other's school fees if it's necessary, things like that. And so traditionally back in the day, each age grade had its like responsibility to the community, right? So the one of the part of the questions was what was their names. Every age grade has its own name, right? So every age grade, so whatever age grade I'm in, which I don't even know my age grade's name. I don't think the practice is not that strong in my town. But I'll change that when I get back home. Uh, my age grade is going to like let's say like you're in the age grade where you're like I don't know between like 7 and 11 or 12 years old. Your responsibilities in the community might be cleaning, so you make sure that the outside is clean, make sure that the roadways are clean. That's you guys' job. Maybe on one day everybody goes and cleans. Everybody in the age grade goes and clean and does their cleaning duty. One age grade may be responsible for helping till like farming, like help till the grounds. The age grade between in their like between like 18s to kind of early 20s is responsible for like building houses. So when a house needs to be built, that age grade will assemble and build the house for the person. Age grades, those age like each of them will build a house for each other as well. So okay, I'm ready to build my house. I want to get married. Then the age grade comes together and they build your house, right? Now this one's ready. We all go build his house. This one's ready. We all go build that kind of thing, and so forth, right? Usually before somebody's about to get married. Um, but now people just build their own houses and get contractors and stuff. So that's not really what they're doing anymore. There's an age grade that's like responsible for like war, right? So if a war breaks out, that's the primary fighting group. And then if you need more forces, you may get some of the younger age grade or some of the slightly older, but there's one that's like that's their primary job. And at that age grade, you receive your ikenga, right? You receive your first ikenga. I want to say it's like a late teens, early 20s age grade, right? So you get an ikenga, and then it's a very simple ikenga that's for war, and then it develops into a personal ikenga as you get older. Um, but that one is like the main fighting force of the family. They get trained how to use weapons, how to do this, and where to hide, and how to build different things and that all explosives and all that stuff. Um, and yeah, and so then like the elder age grades, they're elders, so they do different things. The age grades are still like a lot of towns. Some towns are better than others at their age grades. Like my town doesn't do a very good job. But some towns are better than others. So some towns like the age grades, like the older age grades, they build the schools and they build the hospitals in the community. So you'll go to like a lot of schools in Igbo land. They'll say this school was built by this age, the blah 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 age grade, and it'll have its own name, right? Everyone has its own name. This hospital was built by the blah 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 age grade. You can Google it and you'll see some examples and things like that. This road was built by that kind of thing. Age grades kind of try to make an impact on the community. Just one, because it's a good thing to do, and then two, so to let people know that their age grade is not useless like the other age grades, right? So everybody's trying to be the one that contributes the most and does the most good and that kind of thing. But yeah, at each age grade, there's like a different aspect of like access to learning that you have access. There's new access to learning that you have, right? So some age grades you can't join the masquerade society till you're at this age grade. Then once you're there, you join them and you learn all these different things. A lot of the stuff I teach on this channel, you don't learn till like you're 40, right? A lot of the stuff I teach on this channel, you don't learn until you hit this age grade or that age grade and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'll do my. What is the role or fate of women who decide not to have children or marry? It's considered a sad thing for the family, but they're fine. They're part of the my I have an aunt. She got married, but she divorced, I think, pretty soon after. And she just hangs out, right? I don't she fighting everybody. She's there fighting everybody. But yeah, it's not it's seen as like a sad thing. But it's not like you get like banished or something. It's just that's just how it panned out for you, you know. Um, I think I have a couple of aunts that didn't get married. Honestly, right now, I have one aunt that she's very beautiful growing up, and I don't know. Maybe she thought it was just gonna she's gonna ride on the fumes of that for forever. But as it's looking, I don't think she's gonna get married. To my knowledge, I think she like thugs. One of her boyfriends ended up being like an armed robber or something. It is a mess. Oh, but yeah, she never got married. I have another aunt who's older than her who never got well, she got married and got divorced, and now she just hangs out. So the daughters of the family are still a part of the Umuada, a thing called Umuada. The women's government has two wings. There's Umuada, which are the women that were born into the family, and then there's the Indinyam, which are the women that married into the family. So whether or not you get married, you're still a part of the Umuada. You wear the Umuada rapa, you can do the Umuada stuff, and so forth. But it's just considered like, you know, like it's kind of sad for the family if it doesn't happen, right? But it's not like you're in trouble or anything like that. Where are we at? I've chosen family is such a big yes, chosen family is such a big thing, especially now with people living their truth and even stepping away from birth families a lot of times. Yeah, some of the birth families are just not cutting it, right? There's man, you know, every Thanksgiving, everybody starts posting their family beefs and family dramas, and there's some people are going through a lot, right? So somebody makes a choice about what family they're going to deal with. I understand. I used to be like, but I understand. I get it. Uh, what's the damn? Ifabamila is on a roll. Okay. What is the connection you've seen between the Igbo and the Congo tradition? It's all the exact same. It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. Like it's as far as Igbo and Congo, it's the same. There are okay, so it's the same thing, but because the people are different, they emphasize different parts of it, right? They emphasize different parts of it. But like for example, the Ekwe society has roots in Congo. The Ekwe society has roots in Congo. A lot of the like yeah, the Ekwe society has roots in Congo, right? So it went back up into Igbo land. But according to the history we know right now, a lot of people traveled from the Igbo Cross River Cameroon area into the Congo, and they're saying that's the Bantu migration, that kind of thing. So when you go into those cultures, you see it's just right. Bantu, what does that mean? The people. How do you say the people? Igbo, Mbotu, right? It's just an M. You just put an M in the beginning, and you're there, right? That kind of thing. Two, similar thing. Creation comes from a mother and a father. They have like the Congo cosmogram with the four quadrants. Eke, Uri, Afo, Nkwo, but they don't call it that. They have their different breakdown of what that's all about. Um, Same relation with like the rivers, things like that. Same story about the dwarves being the original ones who uncovered everything and that kind of thing. The same leopard, the same understanding for the leopard. Okay, so the Ekwe society is known as the leopard society, right? And I don't know if you guys remember Siseko Mobutu, the dictator. He used to wear a little leopard hat. That little leopard hat is what our ancestors as Igbo people also used to wear, like a leopard hat. But there's too many of us, so we you can't just everybody can't get a leopard hat like that. You'll kill all the leopards, so they substituted with different hats. But that's the original Ukwagon, as they call it, Ukwagon. The Ukwagon, that leopard hat that Mobutu wears, which is a hat you get when you're high ranked in Ekbe. It's an Ekbe hat, right, from the Ekbe society. That hat was replaced with the Ukwagon, which means leopard hat, which is that striped Igbo hat with the red, black, white stripes. That's the leopard hat in the Igbo tradition. That hat is from the Europe. It's a European hat, right? Some sailors were wearing it. People said, "Okay, give me that one. I like that. That's nice." And so they started using that as a substitute for the actual leopard print hat, right? But originally it was a leopard, the same hat that Mobutu wears, the same leopard print hat that he wears with a leopard sash. Okay. And so what else with the oh my god, Insibidi. They have Insibidi in Congo, but I just don't know how to find it or get a hold of it. Right? They use the same thing, the same Insibidi. Um it's the same, bro. We're talking the same. It's the same, bro. But they're gonna emphasize different things based on who they are, right? So we're all talking the same thing, but like the Igbo spirituality focuses a lot on like destiny and purpose and like your purpose as a person in the world and that kind of thing. It's more about the person, the individual, a little bit more, and the our relationship with the Albara is like the Albara is like people come before the Albara, right? In some traditions, their version of the whatever they call the Albara are like before the humans, right? But in the Igbo one, it's this, right? So there's more focus on like ancestors and your chi, right? Some of them will have more focus on the Albara. Some of them will have more focus on the ancestors, that kind of thing. Um, Of course, all of it very nature based, all of it entirely nature based, all entirely nature connected. There's a medicine. Okay, so there's the Arochuku people. Um, One of the titles for Aro people is Aro. What is it? Aro Jinganga. Aro Jinganga, which is Aro that has Nganga. Nganga. Nganga is the same word in Congo for a medicine, Adibia, right? To my knowledge, Nganga is considered like a very powerful form of medicine that Aro people have, right? So maybe they're using plants from methods and stuff from Congo and things like that. But there's a connection from that whole Cross River, which, if you know the geography of Nigeria, that Cross River area, which includes Arochukwu, Abia states, Ebonyi states, Cross River state, of course, and then into Cameroon, and then down into Gabon. That whole there's a whole axis. They're all very culturally linked, right? They say the Bantu, but for some reason they cut the Nigerian part out in the Bantu thing. I think that's like South African politics because they're the ones that get really caught up on the Bantu thing. Because like the white people use it to say that the black people aren't from there, right? That's their whole big thing, right? Which is stupid. And that the Khoisan are not the same as the whatever, and oh, we're all immigrants, right? So they get caught up on the Bantu thing super heavy in South Africa. For some reason, they cut out the Nigerian part. I think they don't want they don't want it. They don't want to say you people are linked to all of them MFers, right? All those people, because then it's a bigger problem, if that makes sense, right? It's like I don't know how to explain it, right? But there's a lot of population in Nigeria, so they don't want to link it to that. They don't want to go into, so it conveniently stops at Cameroon, but it doesn't. It goes in the cross. There's if you go to the border of Cameroon across river, it's the same culture. It's Ejagam, Efik. It's the same people. So no, it doesn't. They can't end it. And then Efik are exactly related to Ibibio. Ibibio is exactly related to Arochukwu. Arochukwu is exactly related to Izi and all those people in Ebonyi State. So, anyways, yeah, I'm talking politics. So, my big back behind perked up when you said pizza party. Hey, I'm glad I could make you happy. That's good. Oh shit. I'm relieved to hear that, honestly. I'm okay. Same thing. If I missed your question, let me know. Okay. How can African traditions liberate African people from oppression? Damn. Damn. All right. So I probably do need to hop off soon, but I will try to answer this question concisely. Thing number one, in order to oppress a people, you have to hold them down physically and spiritually, right? Two, the spirit informs the physical. Spirit informs the physical. So if I tell you not to look at your own chi and to come look at what I have in this little box right here, like come in here, come here, come here, come here. I can remember the WWF with the urn. remember WWF where Paul Bear had the urn, and then when he'd raise it, the Undertaker would rise up, right? Because the Undertaker's chi was he thought his chi was inside that urn, right? So I can just wave this urn over here and over there, and it can control the Undertaker, right? You understand? Because the Undertaker is a zombie; he's dead. You understand, right? And that's what has been done to a lot of us, right? A lot of us have our urn in the Vatican and our urn in Jerusalem and our urn in Mecca and all these crazy places. Salt Lake City, all these crazy places. And so when the urn holder holds that thing up, that kind of thing, right? And so, first and foremost, in order to liberate yourself physically, you have to understand that that urn is not where your chi is at. It's in you. It's here, right? You have to tie yourself back to your people, back to your actual people, right? Back to the land, back to nature. Okay, now I'm alive. Now I'm back. Now I'm in touch with my humanity again, right? And then you go look at the fact that, these are sciences, right? These are sciences. And these sciences were applied thousands of times by our ancestors to liberate themselves over and over and over and over all over the world. In Africa, it was used to fight colonialism successfully. In the Caribbean, it was used to fight colonialism successfully. In North America, it was used successfully. Mexico, which is North America, successfully. United States, successfully. South America, successfully. But they're not going to tell you about the successes of it, right? They're not going to tell you because they don't want you to do it again. I don't want you to try that shit. Don't do it again, right? But they know that when people that look like this, when they tap into that thing, it's a wrap, right? There's a power to it. So the first step is pulling them away from it. A lot of colonialism was done by missionaries. It wasn't done by people. Think a bunch of Europeans came and they had guns and they were shooting their way through Africa and fighting all these fights. That shit, and that's not what happened, right? That's not what happened. They went with a bunch. The Portuguese tried to shoot their way through Africa. It didn't work, right? They lost to everybody. Oyo beat them. Khan beat them. The Congo beat them. It just wasn't going to work. That's ridiculous. It's silly, right? That's why when the Italians fought the Ethiopians, they thought they had been hearing all these stories, these fake stories about fighting in Africa. And they thought they were going to go shoot their way through Ethiopia. Well, it didn't work, right? They thought that's what the British and the French were doing this whole time. That's not what the British and the French were doing this whole time. They were sending missionaries. And the missionary goes, and he's a nice guy. They get the tallest, specific, they get the tallest, the handsomest, well-dressed, diplomatic, kind person. After the explorer goes there and sees what's going on, they send a missionary. The missionary sets up I'm just setting up a little church. I just want to tell people about Jesus. Sure, right? No problem. And we're going to build a school. We're going to build a school. And they build a little school. This is how it happened. They build a little school. Everybody wants a school in there, right? Yeah, you're going to build a school? Yeah, build a school. Yeah, that's that kind of thing, right? Okay, if your kids come here, they can learn all these fancy, look at all these fancy things I got. Your kid can learn how to be fancy, right? And so one person sends their kid. And, I can't let you in here until you're baptized. What's baptized? I just dip him in this water. Don't worry about it. All right, whatever. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Dip his little black ass head, right? Put him in the thing. And go and you start talking to that kid. You're educated now. You've evolved. In French colonies, they called it évolue or something like that, right? You've evolved past the people around you. They are ignorant. They don't know anything. And in fact, what am I blurred out? Hold on. In fact, they're evil. They're not good people. They're evil, right? They're real. Look at what they do. Their religion. There's all this blood. You don't need blood anymore. You've got Jesus. And look at you wearing a suit, right? This kid's head, right? They kill this kid's head in, right? And then they position those kids that they indoctrinated to become the new leadership in the community. And by the time you have enough people that are locked into this idea, in some places in Igbo land, they would build new villages, and they would have the church, the Christians go to those villages and say, no, don't go back to that evil ass one that you're from, right? This is the new one. This is the new one, that kind of thing, right? A lot of them, after colonialism, they died off, right? And so once they get enough of those people that are indoctrinated in, they come in with the Maxim machine gun. Maxim machine gun. That's how they did colonialism. And they would just attack one village. This is how they did in Nigeria. And Congo was, all these different places were different, right? So in Congo, they were just like, Namibia, it was just G side. Yeah, it was different over there, right? This is what they were doing in Nigeria, right? And they'll knock off one village with this machine gun. And they'll go, we're coming to your town, and we want you to sign these things, and you're going to be under the British crown. There's a lot of benefits that come with this thing, right? It's not, but if you don't do it, you might be like these people that got unalived, right? And then all those people that they had been training will, oh no, negotiate with them, negotiate, don't fight, negotiate. If the leader says no, I resist, right? They'll come and they'll make sure when they take over, the ones they trained are the ones they'll put in power, right? They just need to do this like 5 times per, let's say we're talking about America, per county. 5 times per county move, 5 times per county move. But it's the missionaries that come in and do it, right? By the time the missionaries get there, like they've really entrenched themselves in the community, they've got so many people that are not rooted to anything but that little urn that they use to raise the undertaker. That shit, it's for the taking, right? Same thing with Islam in the north, right? Same system. So yeah. In order to reverse that, you have to go back to step 1, which was cutting you from that root, right? Okay, now I'm entrenched back in, right? Then you start moving with that. Then you start removing the structures, reinstating structures, building new structures that are informed by an ancestral connection, by a truth, by the land, and not somebody's agenda to knock you off of your place, right? And then there's interpersonal stuff, right? So help you with problems that you're having as a person. You understand? Help you help others with problems that they're having. I'm talking meta and bird's eye view, but I've been doing this for 5 years, and I come to find that the thing that people benefit the most is the personal problems, that they're like addressing their personal situation and their personal, what's going on with them, right? And I think that's really where all this stuff shines. You understand? So that's my own take on it. I know there's a lot of questions, but I'm going to leave on that note. And I'm about to pass out. So as always, catch me on the next one. Otu ọbụla unu mere n'ụwa unu tiri aka ọ ga-adị n'ụwa ọ ga-adị otu a na eke n'orie n'afọ na nkwọ ise. All right, take care, guys.